Join us for Conspiracy Crypto Pirates.
Welcome to Conspiracy Crypto Pirates, episode number 5. How's it going, First Matey?
Pretty good, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing really good, actually. It's starting to get to become the holiday season, and you know what that means? Presents. Well, there's that too. But the crypto winter is over. Arr. Arr. So yeah.
So, what is the news in the crypto sphere?
Bonk coin.
Bonk coin again?
Yeah, have you heard of Bonk coin?
Well, you mentioned it last time, didn't
Did
you?
it? Oh, no, that was internet computer last time.
Oh.
Of course, internet computer. Now it's Bonk coin.
Nice.
So, have you seen their, just a tangent, their logo? You know, like every coin has a logo or whatever. Like Dogecoin is a dog. Like,
Yeah. No, I haven't seen their...
It's like a little dog with like a baseball bat. It's like gonna bonk you. So stupid. But it's actually getting a lot of momentum.
Okay. How come?
It's part of the Solana blockchain.
Oh, okay.
And basically, all the cryptocurrencies that are tied to Solana are going up just in and of itself. Solana is really good with like cheap. It's the gas fees for transactions.
Okay. Yeah.
Bonk coin in particular, I think they said they have like 150 like game developers that are using it for like transactions and stuff like that. That is pretty big. But what's interesting in that avenue is in the last week, Bonk coin has gone up like 350%.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's one guy in particular, he bought, actually no, it would be more than 300%, because this guy, he bought $16,000 worth.
That's a lot of money.
Honestly, in a coin like that, that is a lot of money to just dump in 16,000.
Yeah.
And supposedly his reasoning behind that was he believes in Solana. And this was a way for him to get into Solana at lower prices. Which, when you look at it that way, it's risky, but not a bad idea. He turned that $16,000 in this last like week and a half to $12 million.
Whoa.
And so then he put his his winnings or whatever on Twitter, and people started roasting him, saying like, you need to take money out because yeah. And he's like, no, I'm in this for a long haul. It's because like we're not even at the beginning of the bull market basically.
Yeah.
And so at that time, when he was getting roasted, he made 10 million, and then it went up to 12 million, and then it dropped because they all have a cooling period. It dropped. I think he was at like 5 million, which is a ton. I mean, you got to be kicking yourself. But he's like, oh, I'm not worried or anything.
Yeah.
So he's in it.
Well, unless you're like the pirates we are that can blow with the winds and with the waves, ride the waves, you know?
Yeah, but sometimes you want to just use all that money and go to the
You just
saloon.
want to go to the harbor and just cash out. He's just sitting in the harbor just waiting.
Right.
He's not sailing on the open seas.
But what I thought was interesting with that story was how, I mean, like, nerves of steel, really.
Right?
Like,
I think they call it diamond hands.
That's exactly what they call it, diamond hands. But and then it got me looking at it more because I'm like, by the time I'm looking at it, it's too late probably.
Right.
But I was looking at it like last night. It went up. I actually put $100 into it. So then, of course, when you put money into it, then you're invested. Like you're watching it. It went up. It went up 20% last night alone.
Okay, so you can buy like a coffee for a week.
Yeah, right. And then it dropped. Like today, it dropped back down to about where I bought it. But there was rumors that it's like a weekend coin. Like over the weekend, it bumps up. So I was kind of curious if it would do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just kind of an interesting side note on a small crypto currency that I kind of ran into this week, and I just kind of wanted to update you guys on just kind of our learnings and our findings on, small coins that you might not have heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting news.
Yeah. Have you learned or seen anything interesting?
I can't really say that I have. I mean, I've been following it a little bit. I've been following more on the interest rates.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like the interest rates are going down.
Really?
Well, election season, winds are blowing,
Yeah.
gas prices should be going down, interest rates should be going down, the economy
makes
should be
sense.
going good for a little bit before they decide to tank it again.
Yeah. Which, again, might be why the crypto bull run will happen or start to happen in 2024. That's not going to hurt them at all.
Maybe that's why it's starting a little early.
Maybe.
We're just getting a little bit of a run. With that also, I hear there's close to $1 trillion that's going to be coming into the markets.
Whoa.
Just with the interest rates going down.
Oh, with interest rates.
So, and
Just
I
like
mean,
with
that's,
people getting new loans.
yeah, that's going to go into homes and the stock market, and I'm assuming a little bit of it's going to trickle into the crypto market.
Right.
Yeah. So with that going into the crypto market with BlackRock and or not ARK Invest and Vanguard, yeah, all those people getting their ETFs ready for the, what is it called?
The halvening?
Yeah, getting ready for the halvening.
Yeah.
All those just piling up.
Right.
I have a hard time not seeing a big wave coming in that we can surf down.
All right. I like that reference. Well, and I've done a little bit more research because I think the last couple weeks we've talked about Bitcoin ETF and kind of just a little bit of update of what's going on. That's at probably a month ago, it was like, it looks like it's happening maybe January.
Yeah.
And then like last week, it was like, a lot of people
10th.
think it's happening January 10th, like 50-50. Now they're saying 95%. Yeah. January 10th. But then again, so the conspiracy side of me is like, okay, well, if there's a 95% chance that it's happening January 10th, are they going to rug pull you? And then they're going to cause it to drop one more time,
Probably.
I could totally see them delaying it, but I could also see
I can also see January 10th happening. The ETFs hit the market and it just drops. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at Tesla, all good news leads to the stock going down,
Yeah, well, it's like that with any company. Apple, same way. It's like you think, oh, Apple event, they're going to show that they're going to do something phenomenal.
Yeah.
Stock drops.
The M3 chip wasn't big enough.
Yeah, right. Only 20% better.
Right.
But that's...
yeah, that was just on the low end. On the high end, it was much better, wasn't it?
Yeah. On the higher end chips, it, I think, went up 60%.
Yeah, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
But also, do you want to shove out that dough to be able to get that higher end?
Well, and if you were already at the M2 level of chip and it's already blazing fast in your workflow, do you really need to upgrade to the level or M3 that's even more blazing fast?
I mean,
depending on your workload.
Yeah. Depending on your workload, definitely it might be beneficial. 60% is quite a bit.
That is a lot faster.
But for me, my workflow, 20%'s nice.
No, I've enjoyed my laptop, my new computer. It's man, it's a game changer. But I'm coming from an Intel Atom processor.
Well, you're coming from the MacBook Air that had the big thick bezel that was gray.
Yep.
That was one reason why I did not buy that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, but I was like, that bezel was so big.
Yeah. I never loved that part of it. You kind of get used to it. The bezels kind of fade away after long use. Oh, man.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any good conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let me Take a look.
Bringing out his notes.
My
This
notes.
is the first time, folks. He usually comes willy-nilly without a notebook.
Okay, so first one, Nebraska.
Okay.
Just had a hailstorm.
Okay.
And guess who was the brilliant, well, I don't know who the brilliant person was, but somebody thought it was a brilliant idea to put a solar farm out in Nebraska. And this is not like Nebraska, like this is the zone, like Nebraska and Wyoming. Like from there, like there, it's the highest chance of getting hailstorms.
Okay.
And they decided, in America, they decided to put a solar farm in it.
Okay.
Supposedly, it was hail-proof. But
I don't like this, but. Or maybe I did.
hail the size of baseballs.
Whoa.
Coming 100 to 150 miles an hour.
Oh my goodness.
It was cooking. Like, just imagine the fastest pitch that a Major League Baseball player is throwing. That's like
100.
that fast to 50% faster. That is crazy.
Just flying down.
Yeah.
I mean, that would murder somebody.
I mean,
like if you got hit in the head.
You would call it murder, maybe.
By Mother Nature. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so you have that coming, wipes out the solar farm.
Yeah.
Like, totally.
For sure. Decimate anything in its path.
Yeah. So I guess it was cranking out like, what, 5.2? I heard like maybe 4.4 in other people's, but around 4.4 to 5.2. Like megawatts or something like that, where there's a coal plant that's producing like 1,500 or 16, somewhere around there. And then there's like another nuclear plant that's producing like 800 megawatts.
Okay.
So it's a very small percentage. Maybe they're just trying to feel it out or something like that.
Small percentage, a lot of money.
Right. But yeah, so wipes it out.
Okay.
Creates, because there's a bunch of rare earth minerals that are toxic and all that in those. Spreads all over the ground. So now they having to have a hazmat team come in and clean everything up.
Because of the rare earth materials in the solar? Or from
the hazardous materials in the solar panels. Gosh. Wipes out, which I saw some articles saying that, hey, maybe we should be thinking about this when the 25-year lifespan comes up. What are we going to do with these and where are we going to put them? But
you'd think they would already think of that beforehand. Like, isn't that
part of
the
have a thought
analysis?
But probably not.
Yeah. Well, that's what your CRV on your soda cans are.
Right.
They've already charged a CRV on They'll give them an idea. Never mind. I didn't say a CRV on solar panels. That's hilarious. Man. So is there anything sinister about that, or is that just an interesting story?
If ye do not want to be plundered, like and subscribe.
It was just an interesting story.
Well, I was thinking because it's probably the solar panels probably were hail-proof on traditional hail.
Right?
They just weren't...
the ones that make you blink every single time they hit you.
Ow, ow. Oh, man, don't be riding a motorcycle or quad when it's hailing. That hurts.
With baseballs, baseballs, that's ridiculous.
What would you do? Like, I'm just thinking, if you were, like, out in the middle...
You find a tree, it probably destroys the tree.
Oh, yeah. Well,
maybe that's why Nebraska has no trees.
Yeah. Well, okay, no trees. What are you going to do? You're out in the middle of the field. Hailstorm. Baseball.
You hope for a bridge. You start digging. You hide underneath your quad or dirt bag. I don't know.
Well, I was even thinking, if you're in a house, like, I mean, if it's going 150 miles an hour and you got baseball rocks coming down, like, I mean, wouldn't it just be like just torpedoing the house?
I have no clue. I'm not an insurance agent over there.
Man.
That must have been brutal. Man. But supposedly it's going to cost around $1 million to fix and get everything back up and running, which isn't that much.
Yeah, it must have been pretty small. Solar farm.
Yeah, but I mean, it's creating probably what 1 or 2%.
Yeah. Which, I mean, when you put it that
the
way, 1 or 2%.
local
Yeah, it
power
doesn't seem
plants.
too bad.
No.
Interesting. That's so cool. I had some interesting stories as well about. Did you do any more research on Jackal Island?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
I dove into it a little bit. I need to do more research. The only research that I really dove down into is Jackal Island is in Georgia.
Okay.
So it's a little more further away than I was thinking. I was thinking like New York or Washington, somewhere around there, maybe Boston, maybe one of the main cities. But it wasn't, unfortunately. So I was like, But
Well,
I mean, just imagine sneaking all the way down to Georgia to really
Right?
get
It's a very odd.
plan something that big.
Yeah, and that was in the early 1900s, so it wasn't like you just hop a plane. Like,
Yeah.
it in Georgia of all places. Like, that's kind of a weird. You would think for
Yeah, like they used the train. They used like they kind of like pretty much snuck into it.
Yeah, I have a little thing I'll read on it that was interesting. Jackal Island is historically associated with secret meeting that took place in 1910. This meeting, which occurred at Jackal Island Club, included key figures in finance, politics, such as bankers Nelson Aldrich and Paul Warburg.
Haven't heard those names.
Yeah, I feel like the first guy, Aldrich, I may have heard, but not the last guy. The meeting laid the groundwork for what eventually became the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve Act was signed into law in 1913, so it took just 3 years later from the meeting. Probably on a presidential cycle.
Right. I heard the president that signed the Federal Reserve into what it is today, that was like one of his biggest regrets.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Because the president signed it in was Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah.
That was his biggest regret?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Of his presidency.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve System was established to provide the United States with more stable and flexible monetary and financial systems, which sounds like anything that they would cover up. Of course, they're going to make it sound as good as it possibly can. The Jackal Island meeting is often considered significant in the development of the Federal Reserve, as it played a role in shaping the ideas and proposals that led to the creation of the central bank system in the United States. Which, yeah, the central bank, that's something I want to kind of look into more is there's the central bank and then there's the Federal Reserve. Are they one and the same, or are they two different entities?
Yeah, we'd have to
do more research on that.
Definitely.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, cool. We have some more research to do on that. Like
Yeah.
the whole early banking system sounds very fascinating to me.
And I think why for me it's so fascinating is I feel like, well, nothing new is under the sun. And what has happened before, I feel like, is a repeat. They do the same thing, but in an updated fashion. So it's like, if you feel like, I feel like if I can learn like what they did back then, I can look for what they're doing now to transition to the next.
Yeah. Like history repeats itself.
Yeah.
Like one of the guys I follow, Mark Moss, he's all about the history and like how our history repeating itself and kind of how to navigate today with what has happened in the past.
That makes sense.
And nothing's always the same. Like they're always going to throw in new different tactics or try this over that, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really hard to really actually have something 100% of what's going, or a foolproof plan. That's why you always have to be paying attention to the markets on what they're saying and like what the WEF or the WHO or the president or of different nations, you know, the treaties that are being made. You always
Right.
got to be paying attention and updating your news
Right.
and all that to really determine where things are headed. And then
Right.
you got to go dumpster diving in history or let someone else do that for you.
Right. And what's kind of funny too is like you think of these leaders or people that are setting up the next financial system or whatever, you think of them as like almost like bigger than human people, but it's like, well, they're human. They're getting a lot of their ideas from history as well. Like, oh, well, how did they do it?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, history and the new technology that's coming out.
Yeah.
Like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, all those big people, like they have their big meetings all over the
Yeah.
world in different places at different times. And I heard from somebody that like studies them that was really saying what they really do is that they're not talking about what's happening today. They're talking about what they think is going to happen in 10 years to kind of shape and direct where the market's going. So if you bring in someone like Bill Gates or something like that,
Yeah.
that really knows computers, you know,
Yeah.
you're going to figure out kind of where maybe AI is going and stuff of that nature because that's where he's putting all his. And then you bring in different people that have different angles that you can really, and then they all get together and be like, okay, we think it's headed this direction.
Right.
And then they kind of make their moves to kind of make that happen.
yeah. Well, it gives them a game plan
Yeah.
to go for.
And then that game plan, if you have like the top people in the world aiming for that game plan, the likelihood of that happening, like maybe, hey, you know what? Maybe AI wasn't as big as we thought it was.
Right.
You know, and so we're not making the headway that we wanted to. So
Right.
maybe that's set back 10 years or, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even with that, I think AI has jumped out ahead of a lot of it, just like in the last year so much. In 12 months, AI has exploded. And I think, they had their game plan of other things. And then I think like AI exploded. They weren't expecting the explosion to happen probably for another 5 or 10 years. And then now they're adapting basically like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we'll use this to continue our goal. We were going to wait 5 years to start
Right.
it, but we'll do it now.
Yeah. Well, it might have been part of the plan. So I was listening to somebody and what they're saying. Have you heard of Klaus Schwab with the WEF?
Yes.
He was saying that the next big thing that he's predicting is going to be a cyber attack. So he's predicting Klaus Schwab is predicting
Yeah.
a cyber attack where he predicted the COVID pandemic, more of a pandemic through a disease or something like that. And
Interesting.
so like these people that are predicting, or some people may be saying initiating, who knows really where
Right.
it's at. But what he was saying is a cyber attack. And then the guy was also speculating like maybe this is going to be a cyber attack, like widespread cyber attack based off of AI. Like they're going to train AIs to do different cyber attacks. And I know
Yeah.
Ukraine is suffering a lot from cyber attacks from Russia.
For sure. Well, even like with Russia, Putin has been known to say, like in the last couple of years, that like World War III won't be fought with nukes; it'll be fought with ones and zeros,
Yeah.
which is kind of an interesting perspective. And
Yeah.
that was before like the AI revolution that we know of as little Padawans using ChatGPT. But it's funny to think like, well, what did they have back then?
Well, I mean, you can really bring down a nation to kind of being third world, you know?
Yeah, with just taking out their computer system.
Yeah. I mean, you got the power grid. If you shut down the power grid, that's your food and water and transportation.
Everything.
You can't swipe your credit card to having,
Yeah.
so you can't fill up with gas.
That's crazy.
You can,
That's why we go electric,
but,
because they shut it down.
right? there's so many different issues. Like everything's so automated, which is very convenient and very helpful and very nice. Like if you really think about it, one guy can really control a big, huge power grid by just typing in on his little computer. So we're not having this big, huge manpower cost to really power these things, which we don't have the manpower to really do.
Right.
Which also brings up another interesting thing is
Like and subscribe.
like the Great Depression, the unemployment was a huge number. Which unemployment isn't a huge number today.
Right.
Which is very interesting because we have jobs all over the place and we need people.
Yeah.
And
there's always help wanted signs everywhere.
Yeah, but no one can find help and no one can find a job, which is weird. But what they're saying is that 7 million people, able working body, like men, I think from the age of 18 to 55, 7 million of those people are not in the workforce, actively looking for a job in the workforce.
Yeah.
And so we have like 4 million jobs that need filled. 7 million people that aren't looking for jobs.
And why is that?
They make more money just sitting at home, probably. I heard California spends a ridiculous amount of money on each person, like with the health care, food benefits, housing benefits, and all that.
Well, I even hear they get more if they have a dog. Well, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because then they get extra food stamps for paying out for the dog. Whether they feed the
crazy.
dog. Yeah, that's why they always look scrawny little dogs. Not just teasing.
You could pay the same amount as if you have a laptop versus a Great Dane.
Right, probably. Which explains why you see so many homeless with a dog.
Yeah. Which I heard the reasoning for that was it made them less violent. Having a dog as a companion.
I could see that
I've
too.
also seen a lot of homeless people beating on a dog. So, I mean, maybe they just take out their anger on the dog.
So it does cause less crimes.
Maybe.
A man's best friend.
Sometimes, unfortunately.
I'm dying over here. Making me laugh and cough. Man can't get rid of this cough. I heard another very interesting, kind of out there conspiracy. Have you heard of the mud floods?
Mud floods, no.
So, you're going to like this one. So, supposedly it happened in the 1800s.
Okay.
So, like, fairly recent. Like, you think of this, it would be like
200 to 300 years ago?
Yeah. And so the conspiracy is that it has covered up the civilization Tartarian. So let me rephrase that. It has covered up the civilization of Tartarian.
Where is Tartarian?
That's just the civilization in general, because where the mud floods supposedly happened like worldwide.
Okay.
And they have uncovered, like in the 70s, a lot of like the buildings, like in Europe and in the U.S.
Really?
But, if they've dug out, and there's like 30 feet, there's pictures, 30 feet of like structure underneath, like underground.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like what? Like, are you talking like stone?
Like the building, like for instance,
what kind of
like here, the U.S., the White House, for instance. So they have the White House, what you see today, right? And then, or the Capitol building. I'm sorry, I think it was the Capitol building.
Okay.
And then dug out, there's like more Capitol building underneath, but it's not just like basement. What you think of like tradition. It looks same architecture as above. It like windows and everything. Windows. Why would you have windows underground?
Why didn't I learn this in school?
I know, right? And then there's other pictures where it shows like old pictures. It's like this kind of castle building. I think it's in Europe. This castle building with this like pyramid type thing. And now, current picture, boom. The only thing that's there is like a higher up than the top of the pyramid. But it's the same angle, same view, same thing.
It makes me curious on what's underneath the pyramids in Egypt. Do they just go?
Yeah, it's probably like, what do they call those? I can't think of the right word. Like the towers, like Washington Monument,
Yeah.
an obelisk.
Okay.
Maybe they're a giant obelisk. You can just see the top.
They were
huge.
like they're bigger than the what is that? The big building in Dubai.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the building, but I know
Yeah.
Tom Cruise climbed it.
But he didn't climb all the way up the pyramid.
Yeah,
He had
that's
to
true.
do quite a bit.
But yeah, it was such a weird like conspiracy because it technically did happen not very long ago, and I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But like the pictures, I'll have to show them up to show you guys. But the pictures were very interesting.
Yeah. I've heard like San Francisco was discovered where they actually have like buildings where there's glass that's underneath the dirt.
Glass underneath the dirt.
Like you have a skyscraper with the glass windows, you know?
Yeah, like a modern,
Going all the way up. Yeah.
like a modern skyscraper.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have mud like over it.
Like from ancient times.
I have no clue when.
Like maybe 1800s for
This
the mud
was like a
flood?
big conspiracy type of a thing. Like I put very little stock into it, and then you bring that up.
Yeah, the mud floods.
Which like San Francisco is a big place where mud would probably flow.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then I mean back in the 1800s, like just New York City, for instance, was like covered in mud and manure and everything. That's why like you see like Western times the porches of everything is built up.
yeah.
And that's because of all the junk from the street basically.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's just like I'm just thinking like the mud floods, for instance. Like over time, it's just like it fills the street and then they just build up. But a lot of these buildings they're old already. They were built in the 1800s, and it's not like they're not like ancient civilizations, like you know how it's like, oh, they built on top of each other, like they look at a side view. It's like from the same generation. It's just covered in mud by like 30 feet. It's weird.
But 30 feet, that's a lot of pressure. Like dirt on normal is probably about 90 to about 120, maybe heavy is about 150 pounds per square foot or something like that.
Yeah.
So every foot you go up, it's like 100 pounds.
Wow, so wouldn't
if
it
you're
crush
going up-
these buildings?
You would think.
Maybe engineering is a lie.
Maybe. Which just makes me a little skeptical of
Yeah.
all that, you know?
Which makes sense. Again, I think when the date is pushed out, it's easier to believe just because it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I guess it happened so
Yeah.
long ago. But I feel like we'd have so much more evidence for being only 200 years ago. But hey, do you remember what you had for breakfast last week? I don't.
I mean, that was a major thing that happened in my life, like a mud flood.
Right? Unless it was just a slow thing. There's no way it was that slow, though. I don't know.
I probably skipped lunch or breakfast.
Right?
But talking about interesting things like what happened like back in the 1800s, have you ever heard of like the fairs, the worldwide fairs that went on?
I've heard of a few. They would have the World Fair, right? Is that what they call it?
I
but
think
that's
so.
about all I know is just
Yeah,
they'd have a World
but they would
Fair.
build these huge like glass structures and have these huge fairs in them, kind of like showing like the different history of different things.
Weird. So were they
Yeah.
like convention centers that they would build specifically for the World Fair?
I know they built them all. They built them all over the place, and then they moved them to different places.
Weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
But that kind of went into a little bit of like that time frame of like conspiracy theories on what happened in that. I don't know too much else besides that. We'd have to look more into that.
Because I know Nikola Tesla, he actually demonstrated electricity at a world fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like he like lit up like the entire place, and like it was this marvelous like exhibition that he put on for this specific fair or world fair.
Wow.
And I think that's what got a lot of extra funding for him in the beginning. And then obviously went south with Edison.
Yeah, those were a big rival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting story, those two individuals.
Actually, there's also another conspiracy theory.
Okay.
It's very interesting. So when Nikola Tesla died, he was like, he died in a hotel. He lived in a hotel that someone was paying for him that he helped out earlier on in his life.
Okay.
So it's kind of like paying back a debt to him a little bit. So he had a decent place to live, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
That he actually was able to live in a hotel during that time. But so he was living in a hotel. He passed away. And the FBI came in and grabbed all his stuff.
Oh, wow.
Guess who was one of the FBI agents?
Must be some notable person in history. I don't know who.
The uncle of Donald Trump. Or an uncle, or like an uncle type of a thing.
No way. Really?
I mean, this is just conspiracy at this point.
Yeah. But I feel like there'd be some evidence to that. Like
Probably.
paperwork that exchange.
Yeah,
I mean,
conspiracies always have evidence.
Right.
You know.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I thought that was very interesting. Also, another interesting thing with Trump. Did you hear what happened to Trump? In Colorado.
Yeah, with being taken off the ballot.
Yeah, he got taken off the ballot. So, guess who called for that? The Attorney General of California was like, we need to do everything we can to get Trump off the ballot. The first answer to the call was Colorado.
That's weird. If it was the Attorney General from California, wouldn't he be worried about his own borders? Like his own, like,
I mean, he
we're
would
gonna do it
probably
in our
be
own
more.
state.
Yeah, but I mean, California is kind of already going in the direction, so they're probably not too worried about Trump being on the ballot one way or another. It's probably a non-factor. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know who else in history was
taken off the ballot?
Taken off the ballot?
I don't. Who?
Abraham Lincoln.
Ah.
And it was the Democratic Party.
Okay.
And here, let me pull up the different states.
That's interesting. Interesting.
So it was 1860.
Okay.
The election in 1860, South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, North Carolina, and Virginia.
Those were all the states that took him off?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That was a lot of states, and he still won. And we didn't have 50 states back then.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So...
Wow.
That is huge. And like, those were, like, if you really think, highly populated.
Yeah.
But also,
for sure,
they only counted 2/5 of the population, or certain of the population. They only counted 2/5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know. I didn't know that part of history. That's super interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That was when I was going through the research. I'm like, what? Abraham Lincoln?
That's crazy.
And I wonder if Trump is actually going to use that in his campaign.
He should.
Say that he's kind of like an Abraham Lincoln type.
You'd think his campaign manager would be like, let's. I mean, it seems like a strong campaign.
Yeah. I mean,
Please.
it's kind of trivial too. Like, you might just throw it out there once or twice.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
see
true.
how you can use it as a main thing unless you're using it as, oh, they're attacking me, woe is me, which isn't a strong look.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
But going back to Nikola Tesla in that hotel, I've heard like rumors that he had like 80 trunks of like paperwork for inventions and so forth in his in that place.
just imagine his brain just like,
Just
like,
it was 80 trucks that went missing once he died.
oh, wow.
And, which brings me what you were talking about with the FBI coming in. They probably took those 80 trunks. And
Conspiracy Crypto Pirates is a new show. And we need you to like and subscribe.
have you heard the weird story of Byron Trump? Or Barron Trump.
Baron? Okay.
Yeah. So there was a book written in, I can't remember exactly, but like early, like 50, 60, 100 years ago. Like a long time ago.
Oh, like 100, like 50 to 60 to 100 years ago.
Yeah, like it was written
Okay,
in the
yeah.
future, or in the past, like a long
Yeah.
time ago. And it was talking about, the story is about this guy named Byron Trump that becomes president.
That's
And
weird.
yeah, and his what was it? Where he lived was Fifth Avenue something, which is Trump Tower. And yeah, it's weird.
That's weird.
And then it gets even weirder. There's a friend that helps him, or what they call it, a helper that helps him. It's very vague like that.
Okay.
Whose name is Dawn. And right? And it just gets weirder and weirder and like more and more like true to life. You're like, whoa, what is this book?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Was that the book that was written in Russia?
I think it was.
That is crazy that a Russian book, talks about America.
Yeah, and like knows Fifth Avenue, like New York.
Yeah, and actually talks about the actual person
Right.
that is a kid today.
Exactly. And like there's a conspiracy that
That's Simpsons creepy.
yeah, right? The conspiracy is that the Trumps have a time machine from Nikola Tesla because of those 80 trunks.
That then goes into the conspiracy of the uncle that stole his all those things.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Like, the validity of the fact is that it was written 100 years ago or whatever. And there's so many weird coincidences. It's like, how could you get all those coincidences right? And there's a several more interesting facts about that make it even weirder that I'm trying to remember, but I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
And the weird thing is Melania Trump? Was that the first lady, or was that his daughter? Ivanka, I think, is the daughter.
Yeah.
Melania.
Yes.
It's too close.
Yeah.
But isn't she from Russia?
Yes.
Like, she has some weird, like, heritage where, wasn't she, like, part of the royal family before...
was she? Like royal as in like
Like,
the king and queen of...
yeah, like part of the royal family or lineage.
Oh, weird.
Before, who was the guy? Not Karl Marx, Stalin. Before Stalin took over.
Okay, so royal lineage of Russia.
Yes.
Okay, I thought when you said royal lineage, I thought you meant of like England or something.
Yeah, no, of Russia.
Oh.
Before Stalin took over.
Interesting.
And then Stalin, like, wiped out most of those people. There's a small group of people, which then that makes it even weirder when you go.
So
but,
weird.
I mean, those are just rumors. I have no clue of the accuracy of all that. It's it just makes your hair, well, these don't stand up, but.
Right? I forgot another interesting fact about that whole Barron Trump is he he chose a vice president whose name was Pence.
In the book?
Uh-huh. Mike Pence.
Was that the helper?
No, that was his vice president that he chose.
Byron
Yeah.
chose Pence.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like the names are all matching up. That's
the weird thing.
Yeah. Anyway.
So does Pence still have good favor with the Trump family?
I don't know.
Because it doesn't seem like he does right now.
I know. I mean, on the surface, it seems like absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I
don't even think they've talking to each other.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's... I don't know. Because of the book, and, like, say it's some weird, like, demonic thing or whatever. Maybe it's like a dream. Like, maybe they got some dream and, like the facts are right, but not right.
Maybe someone messed with that guy's vodka.
That is something strong. It is weird. But going along back to Nikola Tesla and that hotel that he stayed in. So there's rumors that he was working for the government even at that hotel, because like in the basement of that hotel there was a power plant in the basement of that hotel.
That is hilarious.
And it was like no other building. He was working on something, and it was like the only building in like all of New York City that had a massive power plant in the basement, and it was generating tons of power, like more than
But
any.
they never exported any of that. It was always internal.
I think they did, but it was like he could use it at any point of time.
Interesting.
And so because a lot of, obviously he was king of electricity or whatever, if he's working on experiments he would need huge power sources. And so it was almost like the whole construction of that hotel or whatever building was for this covert op. The rumor.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's really odd. There's so much about Tesla that is fascinating and shrouded in secrecy.
Yeah.
And then he's an interesting cat for sure.
Yeah.
But
which I always heard that Nikola Tesla was somebody that was for the small people more for the common people. And
sounds like Elon.
What's his name? Edison was more for the big person. Like he was always looking at the profits, and that's why he always got a lot of contracts. Is because if you invent a light bulb, how do you make money off it? Like if you invent electricity and then give it to people for free, like Nikola Tesla wanted, in different ways, which who knows what kind of health side effects would have had. But also supposedly he was pulling electricity out from the Earth atmosphere. On back then.
Which is just mind blowing. And supposedly Edison had a bunch of stock and shares in copper, which goes along with his theory on electricity, where basically electricity travels along copper lines and so forth. So to make money, he owned a lot of stock in copper. Copper's going through the roof because everybody's putting light bulbs in their place.
Right.
Where Tesla was working on wireless electricity and free electricity harnessing from the sky or whatever.
Yeah.
And that'd be no money in it type of thing, versus Edison. I'm making power plants. I'm putting electricity on a meter basically.
Right.
And
selling it.
And I'm selling you copper to get it to your house. So I'm making money every turn.
Right.
That's crazy. But yeah, there's
dirty stuff in politics way back then.
Right. I have another conspiracy that I started looking into this week, and I'll save it for next week. But it's kind of along the lines of like electricity and free electricity, and like how in the old days they were using it. Sort of evidence for it.
Huh.
But yeah, I'll get into that next week for sure.
Okay.
It's very interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Have you heard about TV, man?
No.
Just random or like pop culture thing going on right now. There's this guy that has like an old TV, like that he has on his head.
Like the tube TVs?
Yeah.
That are square-ish?
Yeah. And he's been going to like porch pickups, like to houses, and he's dropping off an old tube TV on their porch and leaving. And like he'll wave at the like Ring camera or whatever. And it's just this guy. And he went to, I don't know if it was like LA or San Francisco that he was doing this. And he went around and he did this to like 50 homes.
50? How did he get 50 TVs?
Right? As a collector, I guess. But he just drops them there. And like people are starting to call the cops because they had no idea, like, what is going on?
Is it a bomb?
Yeah.
Like, what's in it? Yeah.
Cops ended up going and getting like a U-Haul van. They're like loading the two TVs in this U-Haul. I'm dying.
You are.
But they didn't catch him or anything, and he hasn't like broken the law. He just.
I mean, isn't that technically considered littering?
I mean, I guess if you want to get there, I'm sure he's breaking some law. Going on somebody's porch is probably trespassing, but it's
dumping.
He's just
supposedly
setting,
garbage. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's some inherent value, but nothing that like somebody really wants. Like, you don't want to deal with the hassle of like storing it or selling it or just taking it to the junkyard.
It's weird. I'm curious if he'll keep doing it and popping up or what, but
maybe he'll have to.
Must be
maybe he'll have to hit different cities so he doesn't get caught.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where's he gonna get more TVs?
Maybe that's why he has to hit different cities. Go garage sailing.
Oh man, yeah, probably. But yeah, I'm excited for cryptos. We're coming into the holiday season, and that's when things start really cranking up. And I'm really curious this year what it's gonna turn out like, how it's gonna go. I think it's gonna be really exciting. I'm curious if cryptos that we think will go up, or if
they all will, or if they'll just kind of hit a flat line. Like, what happens in January typically?
Depending, I think, on the crypto. Dip? I think usually traditionally, because like usually Bitcoin goes, altcoins follow. Right now it's kind of weird because Bitcoin has been going up from its low, but I feel like altcoins have been kind of starting to go almost at the same pace, like right off versus like boom and then boom. So that's why I'm kind of really curious, because like a lot of the Bitcoin ETF stuff, that's going to cause Bitcoin to fly up, but I mean it's probably going to cause the altcoins to go up. But just by inertia, basically.
Yeah. So, do you think Bitcoin is going to become some sort of currency for places? Like, it's already become currency for a couple different places, but it hasn't really been that viable for those people. Like, they don't use it that much.
Right. So what's interesting is I was just reading an article before I came here, kind of about that exact thing. You know, Argentina, that just had that president, what's his name?
Yeah, the guy with the chainsaw.
Yeah. Voila, or whatever. All the government programs. So Argentina's government has confirmed that contracts can be agreed into Bitcoin, sparking optimism for the cryptocurrency.
Interesting.
The move is seen as a big step for crypto industry development in the country, with potential for innovative crypto products. The president and his supporters form Freedom in, I don't know what that is, crypto. So basically, it looks like, because they talked about that they were going to be adopting the dollar,
Okay.
but it sounds like they're also going to be heavily dipping their toe into Bitcoin and
Okay.
cryptos.
Interesting.
So to answer your question, I don't know specifically. I don't know, because I don't see Bitcoin as being a really great tool for
Yeah.
the governmental things,
Yeah.
because it's slow and it's expensive.
Or yeah, for the common people.
Yeah, it's like gold. In my mind, it's like gold. Like,
Exactly. I have the same thought on that.
how practical is it to carry a block of gold in your pocket? Like, you can't. If you had. Don't answer that.
Maybe that's why all the gangster pants are on the floor.
There you go. Even though I love my pirate ship over here, full with gold.
Right?
But when I want to go to Best Buy, all that gold is not very practical. You have to go to a pawn shop. But that's where I see gold as, gold. That's where I see Bitcoin as a store value.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of interesting that a country would be adopting specifically Bitcoin so much.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised it's not XRP.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything with Argentina and XRP?
No, I haven't. Have you?
So they're not one of the countries out of the 20 or so that has been slowly acquiring and adopting XRP like we talked about last week?
Yeah, they could be. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah. That'd be very interesting, actually. Because last week we talked a lot about Japan and XRP. But yeah, I think I was looking at my notes. I think that's pretty much
Talking about Japan. So I was running a VPN off of Japan.
Okay.
And I typed in YouTube, and our video of our clip of Japan popped up.
No way.
Yeah. Like first one on the list. I was like, ooh.
Maybe we're getting big in Japan.
I think we still have a long ways to go.
Well, let's hope not, because please like and subscribe.
Yes, we love our Japan followers.
Yes, all 4 of them.
We'd be lucky if we had 4 from Japan.
We're probably hilarious.
Maybe if we talk more about Japan, maybe we can really try and corner the market on Japan.
Let's do that.
Yes. But I'm terrible at different languages. Literally, I took 2 semesters or quarters. I was on the quarter system, but I took 2 quarters of Spanish. Learned nothing.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. I learned more as an 8-year-old going down to Mexico on a missions trip.
Oh, wow.
Than I did. I remember more from that than from the class. The class was a lot of structure, so I probably would pick up Spanish a little easier if I tried now, but...
Right. I took 1 semester of ASL, American Sign Language.
Nice.
And I remember virtually nothing. I think my name is Jason.
Maybe.
We got the sign language community.
Right? Now, you got to write in the comments, grade him. How good did he do?
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
You
probably flipped someone off.
Yeah, I probably did. Probably said some cuss word or something. And
your hands are going to get blurred out.
Yeah. Censored. Oh, man.
Mine.
But, can you speak Braille?
I might not be able to speak it, but I can drive it. When I'm on the freeway and I hear the rumble, I'm like, oh, I need to move.
That's what you call steering wheel money right there. No, but awesome.
Coming out of your pocket, more like it.
Crazy. But, do you have any more interesting facts and figures and that you want to share tell the world?
No, I
Awesome.
don't think so.
Well, until next week, thank you very much for joining. Please like and subscribe. And give us your comments. We definitely want your comments. You can give us comments, but how much you like our hair? Do you like our hair?
Don't do that.
No, mainly we want to know more about you guys, what you guys want to hear, and we'll try to incorporate it.
Yeah. Also, tell us if you're interested in learning about something in particular. Just throw that down in there, and we'll see. Because like we're always looking at different stuff, trying to figure out different topics. And if you give us some topics to go down, then that makes our life easier. And even if you're just like, hey, I think you're wrong about this or that, then we can go down. Maybe you help us point us into the direction. And we would love your guys' feedback and help with everything.
Absolutely. And if you ever want a tour of the ship back there, just let us know. Put it in the comments below. We'll give you a tour.
Oh my.
It's not messy or anything. It's full of gold.
Okay.
We'll
get some pictures of Fort Knox and we'll put a ship around it.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Arr, matey. Another one in the books. Go claim the ship. Conspiracy Crypto Pirates is a new show that has really hit the interwebs, and it's going to be amazing, and I can't wait for you to join. So please like, subscribe, join all the social medias.